welcome to Ananke's Women in Literature Festival 2025. I have two extremely dynamic and exciting personalities here with me. I have the one and only, the original, one-of-a-kind Mohsin Sayeed. Mohsin is a senior journalist, cultural commentator, and director of The Pink Tree. Mohsin, it is an honor to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be here. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And
Thank you
on the
so
other
much,
hand,
Mehr.
not at all, sir. Thank you. And on the other hand, we have Shueyb Gandapur. Where do I start with Shueyb? He's an artist, he's a traveler, he's a professional, and now he's an author. And he's written the most magnificent book in which he's explored his journey and relationship and experience with India. And the fun fact is that the cover is a painting by Shueyb itself. I've been by myself wanting to get my hands on one of Shueyb's paintings. So maybe after this session, hopefully, Shueyb, you will grant me access to your artist collection. So, Shueyb, many congratulations on the publication of your book. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been in the works for a couple of years now, but I'm so glad that it's finally out.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to dive straight in. Shueyb, you have traveled across the world. Mohsin, you have had immense exposure to many countries and people from across the globe. But Shueyb, you've decided to write a book about India. Why India? And Mohsin, why did this particular book, you've been such a staunch supporter of it, why this particular book did you feel that you had to support it? Apart from the fact that Shueyb is an artistic person, there was something you were driven, you were like, just read it, read what he's said about India and his experience. So Shueyb, over to you, and then Mohsin, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Why India?
Yeah, I don't think there was an intention to write a book about India, but when I went to India, I think that like the preconception I had about it, the curiosity I had about it, how my idea of India developed since I was like a kid, what I used to hear about India, the perception of India through media, through what I heard from people. So it made it very different from any other country in my perception. And like that was the build up to my visit to India. So that because of all those reasons, I was very keen to go to India. And then with all the shared history, with the cross migration of people, with so much that we know of India, so much of what we call like what we can say our common heritage that I found in India, like that I had like was so familiar to me in terms of knowledge and in terms of what I had known about it, and then seeing it and coming across it face to face. Besides, then like so much of the other things like the culture, the language, the literature, the stories I'd heard from my forefathers. So all of this made it a very, very special journey for me, very different from all the other journeys that I have undertaken. And I just wanted to document my experience and what I felt. And when I started doing that, it acquired the form of a book eventually. So that's how it happened.
Now, Mohsin, why did you feel so inclined? I still remember you reaching out and saying to me, Meher, ek dafa pad lo, just read. What was it about this book that you felt was so special? And given that it's around India and you've traveled across the world, what was it about this? Because you were drawn to the language, I remember. And it was like, what is it? I think Mohsin seems to be stuck, unfortunately. Shall we?
Yeah,
Am
Mohsin
I
seems to be.
stuck?
No, now we
Am
can
I
hear you.
stuck?
No, now we can
We
hear you.
can
Go
hear
for
you
it.
now.
All right. I was thinking, why not India? Because you can never have enough of India. I remember when I was young and both Pakistan and India were kind of friendly terms earlier back in the 90s and early 2000s. I used to go to at least twice to India because whenever I used to have some money, save up some, and I would run to India. Because, and I was thinking if I hadn't gone to India so many times, uh, I could have traveled a lot more to Thailand or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Nepal. Many Pakistanis frequently visit these places. But I would run to India
Yeah.
because India is an enigma. India is so vast. It's so different. It's so familiar. I remember when I landed in India, Delhi for the first time, got out of Indira Gandhi Airport, International Airport, and I was struck by similarity, and yet they were so different. And that was the moment my unending, a passionate affair of with India began. Well,
Yeah.
of course, India, right from, and of course, my roots are there. My parents migrated from there, so that is another story. But just India itself offers you so much that if my wish is to travel to India, drive through Vaga one day, and travel all over India. It needs a lifetime. So
Yeah.
why not India? And as for this book, because I remember I loved William Dalrymple's Age of Kali. And when
Yes.
I read this book, it it kind of reminded me of Age of Kali because he also goes from city to city and he doesn't talk about touristic places only. He talks
Yeah.
about India, those cities, how they're different from one another. And when you read Chueb's book, he's been to four cities, and you capture those. You can see those cities. You can feel traveling. A good travel writer is who whisks you to those places. And Shoaib, and one thing I connected with this book and Shoaib's style of writing, because I don't want to feel like a tourist in any country, in any city, in any place.
Yeah.
I want to feel like a resident itself. And
Yeah.
that's how I do it. I deliberately get lost in
Right.
those cities and trying to find my way, and so many things. Just those cities reveal
Yeah.
themselves to me. They're like living beings, living people, personalities, and that's what I found in Shoaib's books. And
I
one more
find
thing,
this really fascinating. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
and Shoaib's style of writing I like subtle, you know, and subtle sense, humor, subtle, very subtle satire. So
Hmm.
he's not in your face. He doesn't, say things loudly, just softly, subtly. Everything is. At times he's very cutting, but on the surface, it's very soft and subtle.
That's incredible because I think to be able to write about India in particular in such a manner is not easy to do. And this is what I find fascinating. Now, Mohsin, hearing you speak and you talk about your roots and the fact that it was such a natural thing for you to paise jama kiya and you go off to India. It's such a but in Shoaib, when I was reading your book, you went in with such an open mind. And it's how you didn't just come in with this sort of like, I'm a Pakistani and I'm going to India mindset. You went in like, I'm just going to visit another country and I want to see what it's about. And yet you talk about your experience with a hint of surprise, like how you were received and how you were perceived as a Pakistani. So we've got two different versions here. Here you have Mohsin saying that it was very natural for him to go. And then there's you, and you're like, what's different, guys? We have this shared history, but there is a sense of you and me, aap aur hum wali cheez. How do you think this difference came about from what Mohsin is saying and from what your experience has been?
I think one thing, because as you mentioned, I travel a lot, and there's an element of like you have to be open to be surprised. And in India, I think what I really now that I think about it, what I remember is that there was an element of surprise from both sides, right? Like just Mohsin just mentioned, we I would find something similar, and I would be surprised, or I would say I would be um, like it would overjoy me, and then at the same time I would see
Yeah.
differences, and that would also surprise me. That's like we are so similar, still we have like these little peculiarities, little things that have either over the past 7 or 8 decades that like we have kind of drifted and we have developed some habits that are not similar anymore, which is also kind of amusing, and the similarities were also amusing at the same time. But I think like I went with a kind of like, because going to India was not easy in the first
Yeah.
place. Like Mohsin said that for him it was just like paise jama kiye and then
Let's
he went to
go.
India.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me it was like, how can I go to India? Like it was, how will I get the visa? How do I get an invitation? How do
Yeah.
I get inside India? Like, it was a place I was so keen to go to. I was so curious about. I was so interested in like seeing and feeling and experiencing, but I thought I will not be able to go. And then, like, my first joy was that I got the visa and then the specific requirements about the visa. But I looked at everything not like as a hassle. For example, if I have to go to police stations for reporting other things, but like everything was an experience. And I think it was in a way enriching my experience. Like, okay, I'm going to a police station. Let's see how they do, what they say, what kind of conversation I can have with him. What is their
Yeah.
process? What are they going to do with my details? Like, and it was, I approached it, I think, naturally, like with a sense of curiosity, like what's going on? How, like, let's learn about this and let's feel what is it
I
about Pakistan is that they want to like know me and
What do
treat
they
me in this
want?
way.
Yeah. What do they want? चाहते
Exactly.
क्या हो आप
I
लोग चाहते क्या हमसे?
think, Meher, here I'd like to mention that just once out of my numerous visits to India,
Yeah.
once we got a reporting visa. And my God, it was a harrowing experience.
I'm
So much
so
so
sorry.
that I was so angry that I wanted to come back to Karachi day. Next day, we went there at Bombay. It happened in Bombay, and we went to the police station at 12:11 p.m., 11 a.m., and we got out at 8 p.m.
Oh.
And oh my God, that was the most terrible. So when I was reading about Shoaib's going to police stations 10
Yes.
times, I was like, ah, ab kuch hoga, ab kuch hoga. But the rest of, as I mentioned, that perhaps those were the friendliest times because just once. Otherwise, I would send my passport to Indian High Commission. Maybe I was a journalist at that time. Press attaché, press attaché,
Yeah.
press officers, and all those, and just send my passport. And do you know that I would get my visa, non-reporting visa, in 2 days at my doorstep. They would TCS back to me, and I
Amazing.
would hop the flight, Karachi Bombay flight, just 1.5 hours probably, or even shorter than Lahore. Yeah, shorter than Lahore's flight. And Delhi was longer. And hop onto the flight, go to Bombay, hop onto the flight, go to Delhi. And then, oh my God, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of I started my fashion weeks, क्या चाहिए, addiction from India. FDCIF, Delhi Fashion Week, then Bombay. So much to learn. Like Delhi, it it is it offers so much
Yeah.
to you. You're going somewhere in say it was Greentown. I'm forgetting Greentown. I think it was Green or some defense colony, def call as they call it. And suddenly you turn a corner, and there is an historic monument in
Yes.
shambles, though, but and it tells you stories. And I would touch the stones, and I would feel connected to those times, as if no time has passed. So it would whisk me back to those times. So Delhi itself has so much, like the Purana Qila and the Jind Wali Masjid. So I'm
Absolutely.
so enjoying this book as
Yeah.
Shoaib is taking me back to those places. However, I feel sad as well, and it really hurts to think, will I ever be able to go back to
Yeah.
those places? Will I ever be able to hug my friends? I made so many friends, lovely, beautiful people. And over there, okay, the book is Shoaib. Sorry, so over to Shoaib. Because
No,
I get very excited and emotional when I talk about India and my visits
no,
to India.
that's
Uh, you can't shut me up.
no, that's absolutely fine. And that's the thing. The fact that you said that you felt sad, Shoaib, as much as I loved your book, when I read it, I felt such a sense of there was so much, you know, wistfulness in me. Especially when you talk about Delhi and you talk about engaging with the locals. When I went to India, for example, I didn't feel any difference. I still remember landing, which is why I loved your element of surprise, because I think in your book, it just made India seem so magical for me. Because when I went, I was like, yeah, what is this? Matlab, this is Pakistan. This is not a holiday. Why have I come here? I could have just gone to Lahore or Karachi. That was my feeling. But reading your book, I felt like I was seeing India, of course, through your eyes, but there was such a sense of surprise, but there was also a wistfulness. Like, will I ever be able to experience India the way you did? When you went in, did you go in with any expectations or any thoughts or any ideas?
I mean, obviously, I had this perception of India, but I think I went with a very, I would say, like openness, like an open heart, and
Yeah,
expecting the same, that I will be received in the same manner, like what I've been thinking. But I was also very
what were you
interested
thinking?
in.
Like, what were you expecting to happen?
I think I had heard a lot about people's experiences of India, like Mohsins, like other people, like how they went to India, how people were welcoming, the experiences they had. Let's say they went to a random shop, they went to a random cafe, the conversation they had, how they were received, all of this, like it was all full of warmth and love. It was like all like people being artificially separated, but they find something of each other in each other when they meet each other. So I was also had uh, this idea that this is what's going to happen. But is this going to happen? This was also my question, because times have changed, as like
Yeah,
Mohsin was mentioning, like just get a visa in 2 days and hop on a direct flight. Like our connections, flights, trains, roads, like a lot of these are a lot more restricted than they were, let's say, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago.
yeah,
And we know there has been a rise of certain type of politics. So I think what I was curious about is that often we say that this is just politics, like this is about politicians, but I was
yeah,
curious to see whether it's just that, or it has impacted ordinary people's
sure.
behavior or perception as well.
Yeah, of
And, and I think my experience was a little bit different than what I had heard from people who had gone to India, like uh,
course.
prior to me, a few years or a few decades before me, because I did see that the politics that we are seeing in our two countries in these days, it has to a certain degree seeped into the hearts and minds of people as well. I don't know if it is like temporary or it's permanent, but like if you keep hearing the same thing in the media, in newspapers, in like on TV all the time, I think it does alter your perception a bit. So that's why in certain cases, like my experience was not like I had amazing experiences, one very
Of
welcoming people, but
course.
at the same time, I noticed people who would get like a bit hesitant or reluctant or a bit cold
Yes.
or indifferent
Yeah,
upon learning where I was from.
yeah,
So, and when I told these experiences to people like Mohsin or people who had been there before me, they were also a bit surprised that they did not feel that when they went to India. But I think it's about like the experience of the same place in different times by different people can be different, and that's what we are seeing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Interestingly, I
go
would
ahead.
always get caught. My Urdu was a dead giveaway. When I used to
Mm, yeah.
would speak in Urdu, they would say, "Aap kahan se hain?" And I would say, Dubai se. नहीं, आप दुबई से नहीं हैं. अच्छा,
Yeah.
I picked up a few words and styles like Delhi where they say ना कि you must have I must have sounded like a South Delhi girl. Okay, bhaiya, bhaiya. So bhaiya, I would say bhaiya, bhaiya. But again, they say no, no, आप पाकिस्तान से. ऐसे नहीं, मैं पाकिस्तान से नहीं हूँ, दुबई से हूँ, ये वो. Tried to fool them, but they refused to be fooled. They were
Confused. Yeah.
very clever. they picked मेरी उर्दू से वो कहते थे इतनी अच्छी उर्दू जो आप बात कर रहे हैं ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता कि यहाँ से हम या दुबई से आप पाकिस्तान से. And then of course our plays, they were mad about plays. I'm sorry, थोड़ा सा I'd like to narrate one incident. Faisal, my friend Faisal Rahman, the actor, and
Yeah.
I, हम दोनों को गश्त करने का शौक था. So बॉम्बे में once हम दोनों बात करते हुए देखते हुए यूं करते हुए जा रहे हैं, and we lost our way and
Right.
ended up in one of those famous slums of Bombay. And वहाँ फैसल को पहचान लिया.
Oh.
And a mob started following us. And they were Saffronites. वो Saffronites की बस्ती थी. And
Mm.
Faisal said, just don't, don't give out any nervous energy. They would
Yep.
sniff
Yep.
like animals that, yeah, just keep talking and let's try to find the nearest way to the main road.
Say.
And we kept on talking, and the mob was closing in, closing in, closing in. And they, special. सोचो इन गलियों वगैरह में भी पाकिस्तानी स्टार्स को. एंड वी वर वेरी हैप्पी. उसी दौरान मरीना खान वगैरह का प्ले चल रहा था. बड़े बड़े बिल बोर्ड्स लगे होते थे इन दिल्ली, इन बॉम्बे. एट दैट टाइम वी वर इन बॉम्बे. बिल बोर्ड्स एंड हसीना मोइन एंड प्ले एंड शी
Amazing.
राइट्स एंड मरीना खान एंड
Amazing.
ऑल. So yeah, amazing times, and we used to have so much fun. I can't tell you. And once, what to say? So
And
it
this is,
hurts. Reading
It
Shoaib's
hurts.
books really hurts me. If I'll ever have those experiences,
You
if
know, I
I'll
find
ever
this
be able to go
fascinating.
back.
There's three of us here, and all three of us have been to India at three different points in our time. Now, what I would love to know is, Shoaib, I find myself relating more to your version and your understanding, but there's such a sense of wistfulness, right? Because I had gone just before the Mumbai thing had happened. The Mumbai, unfortunate, it was a tragedy. There's no, I mean, I will always condemn it. And Mohsin, you had gone and you had experienced India before Mumbai, which was a different country altogether. And Shoaib, you have now gone post Mumbai, right? And
yeah.
post, Pulwama. And here we are. And this is the thing, right? It's interesting that I think between the three of us, we have experienced the same generations of Indians, so to speak. Yes, the post partition one or even the pre partition one may have passed away, but they're still there. Yet our experiences are so different. Does this speak more about India and its vastness, as Mohsen has identified, or does this speak about how political events ultimately do affect society and how culture is experienced? Shoaib, over to you, since you were the most
Yeah,
recent one.
I think it's a bit of the latter that you mentioned, that like the politics, the populism that does play a part in in the reason that our experience has been have been different.
Yeah,
Because what Mohsen is describing, I think by the time I visited, it was kind of unthinkable, like to see this billboards of Pakistani
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
TV actors be displayed. And also, no one ever like guessed that I could be from Pakistan because part of it could be like I never came across any other Pakistani throughout the time I was there because
True.
I think that the travel had
Well, you
already
look more
dried
like
up.
North African. Sorry, you look more like Middle Eastern North African, unlike
Yeah.
me.
Shueyb, you don't
But
look
but that
Pakistani. I look very Indian. So even that's why I'm saying when I went, it was so like nobody really gave any lift. They thought I was from Delhi. So that was it.
If I
but the
hadn't
funny
spoken
thing
in
is when I
Urdu,
would
they would not
yeah
have. They
the
wouldn't
funny
have
thing is
guessed.
yeah
Yeah.
when I would speak to them in Urdu or Hindi, for example, a few people asked me, "Are you Kashmiri?" But no one said that, "Are you from
There we go.
Pakistan?"
See?
Because
Yeah.
yeah, because I think having a Pakistani visitor amongst them had already become a kind of an unlikely thing because I think
Ah,
people coming and going was a lot more common a few years earlier, like in the 2000s and like the second decade of the current century. But I think by the time I went there, Pakistanis visiting India had already become a rare thing. So maybe that
yeah.
could also be a reason that no one, like people might have thought that I could be from Kashmir, but no one thought that since I'm speaking this way, I
Sure.
could be from Pakistan because
True.
Pakistani in halat mein kahan se aa gaya? So I
Yeah.
think but to your question about is it like because our experience is different because we went to different places or we were hanging out with different people, or is it a shift? So I think I cannot speak to anyone else's experience because we have all been to different places and we have hung out with
Yeah.
different people. But I think there has been a shift because I went to only four cities, and I like obviously I did not have as diverse experience as one could have had in several visits. But the kind of things that I experienced were different, and also this kind of a little bit of indifference that has seeped in. I think that was not there in anyone else's experience that I'd heard of
Maybe.
or
Yeah.
before.
Absolutely. No, I think you've nailed
Mayor,
it. Ji Mohsin,
I
बताएं आप?
had I think I witnessed the beginning of this, what Shoaib just mentioned, because
Yeah.
I am a curious soul. So
Yeah.
I just asked, I went after a friend of mine, I can't name him,
No, no,
and
that's okay.
just, I said, you have to take me. No, 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 you can't. These days, I can't. I
No,
said,
no, that's
take
fine.
me to a VHP, Vishwa Hindu Parishad Chaka. And he said, then you have to speak in English. You will not speak in Urdu, and just try not to talk and speak. Just be quiet. I said, okay. And we
Yeah.
went there in Delhi. Oh my God. And I saw it was, uh, hair raising. The
Yeah.
kind of jingoism I witnessed there. And again, in Bombay once, we were staying in a hotel, and we saw this Gori woman with a heavy American accent, and Hadi and I were sitting at the rooftop where one of those little nice hotels, those colonial bungalows turned into hotels at our उसपे ना ताज की लाइन में
हाँ, हाँ,
साउथ
हाँ.
बॉम्बे उसमें बहुत खूबसूरत है ना, right in front of our gateway of India. So we were just having tea, and she was sitting right next to us. And as both of us, Hadi and I, we both love to talk, so we started talking. And her heavy accent, and she was Yale or Princeton, some academic, some professor, and we said, "Take it." And we started fighting, Hadi and I, as usual, fighting over politics. And I had a different view, she had a different view. And she was very interested, and she was egging us on, and she was poking us. Anyway, next day, she invited us for dinner at Kalagoda, one of the
Hmm.
very lovely restaurants. And then she revealed that she was a Pakistani, and
Oh,
a Pakistani politician's daughter. You might know her. And she's dead now. I mean, passed away, sorry. And and she said, I'm here to study shift sinner. And she was going to a rally next day. I
oh,
said, I want to come along.
Yeah.
And she said, "No, I can't take you." I said, "No, I have to come." So
Yeah.
somehow she took me there, smuggled in, and wahan se, oh my God, again, what I heard and saw and jingoism and so I witnessed the beginnings of that. What Shoaib has seen, because at that time it was very limited.
So I think we've,
That Bombay it was not widespread. The indifference, even if, and interestingly, people, even media people, when I took some papers in step at that time, what it used to be, and they just
yeah.
couldn't believe. The first time I went to India, I was invited by Salman Ahmed and Brian and Ali Azmat,
Yeah.
their group,
Junoon.
and for Channel V Awards, Channel V Awards. So
Yeah.
we went as a part of their troupe, and so many people were with us and everyone, and we had fun and everything. But they just could not believe, even Channel V people and Indian fashion journalists later, that this is Pakistan. They thought our women are covered in burqa.
Yeah.
They
They
didn't know.
still
I said,
think,
we know
huh,
so
huh.
much about it. They
Yeah.
could not name one big activist, for instance, like Tisa Seetalwad or, Harsh Bandar. They're very activists and
We know.
writers.
Yeah.
They just couldn't name one like Asman. They didn't know our Asman Jahangir. So I said, your information, your knowledge about Pakistan
It's
is
very,
zero. You
yeah.
don't know anything. And they were shocked, literally shocked to find out those fashion shoots in our paper. I'm talking about pre internet era. In the sense, the
No,
internet was
absolutely.
very primitive,
Yeah,
very
and
primitive.
I think that's something that where Pakistan needs to stand up and fix that. We're down to almost our last 2 minutes. So Shoaib, if you could just show us the cover of your book, please.
Here it is.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, coming back. It's a stunning cover. We'll be sharing links underneath this video where you can order it. And Shoaib, if you have any Instagram page, please do share the link. We'll be sharing that as well. Just before it's the last
Meher,
1 minute, Shoaib, any
Just,
last?
just,
Yeah, go
just
ahead,
one
Mohsin.
minute. One, I would say there's a huge complaint with Shoaib. He wastes his time being a chartered accountant, and he doesn't write and photographs and
He
paints
will now.
because
He will
he's a
now.
fabulous writer, and we don't get to read much from him. So
No,
sad.
we're going to start working on that now that he's
Imagine 107 and counting countries. What travel writing, what stories, and
well.
thank God he's not like Musansar Hussain Tarar, who finds a love interest. Everyone is dying
No,
on
no.
him wherever he goes. Although I'm
I
sure
think
he's a table travel writer,
no, no.
unlike Shoaib, जो कि जूते अपने जूते खराब
Shoaib
करता है.
will
मगर Shoaib,
definitely,
my
Shoaib,
request,
now
please
that
write
Shoaib
more.
has entered the foray, Shoaib will definitely have the last word on this. And Tarar Saab, as much as we respect his work, I think it's time for
I
Tarar
don't
Saab to.
respect him.
That's, okay, that's fine. Shoaib, any last words before we end this session?
No, I would just say it was a lovely conversation and great sharing I also learned a lot about India in different times. And one thing I would say is, despite like what we are seeing, the political shift, the change in perceptions, I think in my visit, I still found an opportunity to engage even people who were like jingoistic or very right-wing
Yeah,
nationalistic, but still there was a chance to have a conversation with them and understand them. And like that basic courtesy or human decency was there at individual level that people lose when they become part of a group or become part of a mob. But when you meet person to person, you still can bring it
absolutely.
out. So there was still opportunities to engage with people of
Absolutely.
all ideologies.
Absolutely. And I think it's very important for us to continue these conversations. So, Mohsin, Shoaib, thank you so much for being part of this. And I think we definitely should
Thank
talk
you.
more and more about these things. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye bye.
Khuda Hafiz.